Hello, I'm Rachel Siegel, the Executive Director of the Primavera Fund, and I would like to welcome you to our Sterling Masterclass online series. We've had to go online in response to the COVID-19 crisis, but we're very excited to be able to bring you this content in your homes every single week. So please check back for a new video on a new topic every Thursday at 4, and stay safe.
Hi, my name is Dennis Kim. I'm the Concertmaster of the Pacific Symphony out here in California, and I'm glad I have a chance here to speak to you today. I know the audience is, what Miss Rachel said was very eager, very talented high school students, so I wish I could be there in person, but as all of us are locked down right now, we do this virtually, and I hope that what we talk about today you can use in your daily playing, and hopefully it'll help with the way you think about with sound and string playing in general, or music in general, actually. So I've had a chance to play concertmaster all over the world. I started my career in Asia, in Hong Kong, and then I went on to be the concertmaster in Seoul. And then I went to Europe. I was in Finland for 6 years, and then moved back to the US. I was concertmaster at the Buffalo Philharmonic, and now I'm out here in Irvine, California. So I've had a chance to play some of these big concertmaster solos in different stages all across the world. And I remember when I was a high school student, or maybe a little bit after, when I was learning these excerpts, I remember, I would be very, very true to the score, and I would play the dynamics that the composer wrote, and try to make as many colors within the realm of my normal playing. So something like Scheherazade. Now I remember playing this for my teacher, and it was like, and I played for different people, but someone especially like Mr. Cantor, Paul Cantor, he'd be like, "You gonna play it like that?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "This is a solo," and I said, "Yeah, I understand it's a solo, but there's no balance issues. No one else is playing. There's one harp playing. Obviously, I can be heard over the harp." And then he explained to me, he's like, "Okay, this starts out with this huge brass, low strings." Yo, do, do. And then you come in, it's gonna sound so small and so meek. And as you know, the story of Scheherazade is, this has to be so sensual and so beautiful, and this person's trying to keep themselves alive, right? The story's got to be so amazing that the prince doesn't kill you. So I think you're gonna have to put in a little bit more sound, much more espressivo, more vibrato. And I remember the first time playing this, I remember it was at school at Yale. All his words came back to me, because in a big place you really have to try to fill up the whole hall. No matter if there's no balance issue, no matter what it says on the page, you have to try to communicate to the audience. So I remember, or especially now anyways, the same phrase. And this now propels the orchestra into this big, lush, do, ya, da, 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 da. And if I don't give that sound and that impulse back to the conductor and the orchestra, I think the music stops a little too much. As you know, the Scheherazade, there's every movement has a little small solo to begin, and there's little interactions between violin and oboe, and violin and clarinet, violin and bassoon. But for me, even the very powerful opening of the fourth movement, I remember the first time I played it, and I thought, let's try to make some difference in contrast. So I started playing. And then. And similarly, I remember the first comment I had, they were like, well, the opening sounds a little too small, right? I understand that you want to make a difference between the first and second phrase, but you really have to give a little more. Try to hit the back of the hull. The goal I have now as concertmaster with a few years experience is to try to play pianissimo so that in the last row they can hear the pianissimo, but all the color, not just the sound that's pale, but it has to be expressive all the way to the back. So unfortunately, you have to give a little bit more, and you have to kind of ignore the people in the front row, right? So ideally, the best seats in the house are not the front row, as you know. I mean, they're further back in a classical music concert. Hopefully, concerts that we'll be able to go back to soon. But yeah, if you're gonna go hear Heifetz or Perlman, or in today's day, Hilary Hahn, or if you want to go hear Ray Chen, please don't get a seat in the front row, right? To see him, maybe it'd be nice to be in the front row, but to hear the sound, to hear what kind of sound production that they can create, you got to sit back and hear what they're going for, because they're not trying to play for the person in the front row, they're trying to play for the person in the back row. So now I play with a little more sound, a little more grip, a little bit more arm weight, into even for the very beginning, right? Yeah, I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, are you just going to play it as loud as you can? You're just going to blast everything? And under the ear, and if you're in the front row, it might sound like that, but I promise you in the back, there will be differences in color. Fortunately for me, I have the chance to play on this amazing fiddle. This is the 1701 Dushkin Stradivarius that is on loan by a very generous donor. And so I feel like this violin can really cut through the orchestra. Even when I'm playing with a 100-person orchestra, I feel like if I decide to, maybe it's just in my mind, but if I decide to, that I can actually just play a little bit above the orchestra at any time. So of course, it's nice to have an instrument like this and equipment like this to be able to project. But as a student, of course, we need to develop the contrast in playing piano and forte, but especially when you play an orchestra. And this is not only for string players. I don't know if we have any wind and brass players in the audience, but when sometimes you hear a beautiful flute melody and it's written piano, and if they actually play piano, I promise you no one will hear it. We can't hear it on stage, certainly won't make it out all the way to the audience. So the quality of the sound, the thickness of the sound, the color, all these things are important. You can't just play soft just for the sake of playing soft. It has to carry, it has to travel. A funny story, the first time I played Bach double in Korea, I was one of the soloists, and the other soloist was the mighty Pinkas Zuckerman. And we had one rehearsal before, And I remember I remember the second one especially. I went. And he didn't come in. I was like, Maestro, did I do something wrong? He was like, you gonna play it like that? I was like, what do you mean? He said, I'm just gonna play as loud as I can. And of course, it's a little bit of a joke because we were playing in a hall in Korea called the Sejong Center, which fills 4,000 people. So in that situation, of course, if you play like this, no one's gonna be able to hear it. So I remember in the concert, we basically were playing, both of us, as loud as we can. We were just basically. And he came in. Big, lush tone. And yeah, after the concert, I asked some people in the audience, like, do you sound like we were just playing as loud as we can? I said, no, it carried beautifully, and it was a beautiful sound. Of course, Maestro Zuckerman has the Dushkin Del Jesu. At that time, I didn't have this violin, but now, this is the Dushkin Strad. I wish I have a chance again to play with him. Both instruments being owned by Samuel Dushkin, who was a great American violinist who was friends with Stravinsky. Like I said, if I was there right now, I would be fielding some questions and it would be a little bit more natural. But since I'm speaking to you and I can't really see you, Miss Rachel asked me to talk about a little bit about Ein Heldenleben, which is a tone poem written by Richard Strauss. This is a piece that I love personally, and I've had a chance to play also here and there. I actually had a chance to play in Finland with Miss Rachel in the orchestra, so it's kind of a nice little story. But this is, as some of you know, this is Richard Strauss describing his life, and it's a little bit silly, but the piece is called A Hero's Life, and as you can imagine, who he thinks the hero is himself. And then in the middle section is a beautiful violin solo, and that is his wife. And from books we read and from stories we know that Strauss was in love with his wife, and he writes this beautiful solo describing his wife, the beauty, the temperament, the character, there's so many different colors in this amazing solo. And similarly, I remember, the first time it's written mezzo piano or piano, and then it comes back mezzo forte. I remember the first time I played it with a big group, I played it really as soft as I could, actually. And then it comes a little more. And similar comments. I was like, wow, it's nice, but it sounds a little too small. And this is another similar situation where there's no balance issues. Actually, I think that solo is complete by itself. There is even no harp. Later on in the solo, the strings accompany a little bit very, very lightly, and there's interaction between the orchestra. But this opening solo is, out of the blue, it's completely this beautiful, angelic voice that Strauss thinks of his wife. And now, when I have a chance to play it, I play it just with a little bit more espressivo, a little more vibrato, a little bit closer to the bridge, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more, again, trying to play to the back of the hall. So even though it's piano, but this is a very soloistic piano, a Concertmaster piano. Yeah, so for me, the importance of projecting your sound. One other thing, of course, I'd like to mention is the way you sit in the orchestra is also important, right? If the conductor is here, if you're looking at, and the audience is here, I see a lot of players, I mean, concertmaster or not, a lot of players kind of playing inside and kind of playing into their stand. You really have to play proud and try to project your F holes pointing straight out. This is stuff that, comes with experience, but the earlier you learn this kind of little tricks, I think it'll help you. When you play in your high school orchestras, when you play in your youth orchestras, and when you get to college, when you play in your university orchestras, I mean, I want you to sit in a way that really can project, sit in an angle where your sound is easily able to project to the back of the hall. I think these things are really important. Now, I hope you don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that there's no dynamics in orchestral playing, right? Of course, there are times that you can play less, but as a concertmaster, and if any of you have the chance to play concertmaster or principals, and you have a solo, you really have to think about the differences in a soloistic solo sound and a real piano for tutti or in chamber music. So I hope that this makes sense. Like I said, I hope that we have a chance to meet in the future. I hope you're all safe. Please keep working hard. As all of you know, during these times, people are talking about what's essential. Of course, doctors are essential. Healthcare is essential. The people who provide food. But I really believe that our profession, the art that we study, is also essential. Keeping art and music alive, that brings hope to so many people. I've had a chance to upload different videos through this pandemic, and really the messages I get, the personal messages and calls I get, oh, thank you so much, that was such an important part of my day. It just was a little bit of reality. Thank you for keeping it, letting me feel normal with music. And I think that during these times, we realize how important music is. For me, I feel so frustrated and not being able to perform on stage. To play for you right now is great, but I get no feedback, and this is what an artist lives for, I think. And so I hope that all this will end very soon. I hope that we'll be able to perform live on stage to audiences and be able to affect people's lives. And I know that all of you are studying music, and that should be your ultimate goal. That what you do, the way you prepare, and when you perform, what impact it makes on the audience. I hope none of you play music just for yourselves, right? You learn a craft to get it to a certain level, to be able to perform and to communicate with the audience what you feel and what you want them to understand about your art. And I think that is a goal for all musicians and all artists. So I hope you keep safe, be strong, practice well, and I hope to see you very soon on the other side.